Join the mortgage expert Heath Barnes as he equips loan officers and real estate agents with innovative ideas and tools so you can adapt to the changing environments in the marketplace. Be inspired by stories from some of the top professionals in the mortgage world today as they reveal their secrets of what made them successful while gaining knowledge and insight about how they continue their success regardless of the market conditions. Find out how to build a team and scale your business. Get ready to be more productive while working fewer hours. Here is your host, Heath Barnes.
Welcome to another episode of Mortgages Reimagined. I'm overjoyed to have my good friend, Mr. Larry Montani from CrossCountry Mortgage. Larry been in the business more than 38 years. Not only is an accomplished loan officer, but an accomplished coach. When it comes to heart, I don't think there's anybody that has more heart than Larry Montani. He and I both coached together in a coaching program. And I have to tell you, Larry, I have so much admiration for how much love and, how giving you were for your students. So, and I'm honored to have you here today. So thanks for showing up today, Mr. Larry Montani.
Thank you, Heath. I'm honored to be here. Super excited to share and talk and get caught up with you. It's been too long.
Yeah. So I'm curious, I've never heard your story of how you got in the business. I know you've been in the business for a long time, 38 years, 18 more than me. You must have been 16 when you got in the business, but God, they were still doing 1003s on paper back then, right?
100%. Old school.
Yeah. Old school. So let me see, 38 years, that would have put you in 1984?
86.
86. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, how'd you get in the business? What were you doing?
So I was interviewing in college. I interviewed with a person who was at Citibank Investments. I interviewed for the job, didn't get the job, but I ended up getting a job for a very big insurance company as an underwriter, not having any clue what that really meant. And so I would take the train into New York City. I live in New Jersey, and I actually used to see this person all the time.
Yeah. Lo
and behold, I'm on this insurance job. I get fired. It's actually a blessing because I really didn't like it, but I was too scared to admit it. And she ends up calling me up because she was opening up a mortgage, a division for Citicorp Mortgage at the time, back in 86. So I was I was desperate. I was out of work. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I was living at home with my parents, and I was got to find my way. So I got a job as a clerk in the mailroom.
Start at the bottom.
The total bottom. I was pushing brooms, did whatever. I didn't care. And I then got a job as an inside, really a processor. So I was a processor for almost a year and a half to 2 years. I then went to inside sales, went to outside sales. I ended up winning a Service Excellence Award, which they give out to 20 people a year in the country. Right after that, I realized, well, maybe try this outside sales thing. I started to speak my mind, which I came to realize you're really not supposed to do in corporate America. And I started, and then one day I got married, and I said to my wife, I'm going to take a shot. Let's go. I want to go be an originator full time for an independent company. So I did that for about 10 months. Then I opened up a firm with a friend of mine. We had it for 21 years. And then, thanking the great demise of the mortgage industry, the company was no more. We went our separate ways and had a couple other stops since then, and been very lucky. I've helped over 11,000 people buy homes, and I'm blessed because I still love what I do. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that would not happen nowadays. What you were saying about being a loan officer and starting your own company, doing that nowadays is super difficult. So
it's a different world.
Back then it wasn't that difficult, right? Well, it was difficult. You literally have to have a lot of confidence in yourself to start any business. But what you did, my hat's off. So
the truth was, Heath, you ready?
Yeah.
I was too young and dumb to know any different. I was just let's go sling some loans. And The company started with myself and my partner and an assistant, and we grew it to 160 people at one point. But if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have done it.
What I love about your story is you were willing to do anything, even the mailroom, to get your foot in the door. And I think in this day and age, we live in a time in which people they think, okay, but that's beneath me. And I tell people all the time, listen, if you want a job, go work for free somewhere for free, show them what you can do, and then they'll hire you. Anyone will hire someone that'll work for free.
That's right.
38 years in the business. I'm curious, we're in a time right now in the business in which rates have gone up. People are starting to wonder, okay, well, what am I going to do to generate more business? What's one or two things you're doing right now that you think benefit our audience, that's going to give them more business that maybe they're not thinking about?
So I'm really big, Keith, in doing seminars, right? Okay. So when the pandemic hit, live events, right? So when the pandemic hit, and the seminars we would do, we were all teaching events to help them in their lives professionally and then hopefully personally at the same time. And, you build credibility in the market, and you get to be known as the person that wants to not just do loans, but help them grow, so forth and so on. So when the pandemic hit, I'm like, what am I doing with this? Because nobody's around. It's ghost town city. Yeah. So everyone was doing these coffee clutch deals on webinars. I'm like, well, I got to do something. So I started doing that. I did 2 of them back. The first 2 were May of 2020, right? So I'm like, well, I got to brand it. So I branded it. I call it Lattes with Larry. So I figured, what the heck? And
lattes.
Right. And so we do these educational webinars, and we've done 28 of them since May of 20.
And what kind of educational set? What are the topics?
We have so many. We have one coming up as an example in 2 weeks. And the topic is how to build an unstoppable team. And it's just all about building a team. And the other one might be, what is your why, or, how you explode your business through your past clients is nothing to do with mortgages. Zero. Okay. So what's happened, Heath, is that we get people, because the world we're in with, promotion through online sources.
Right.
We get people from an average of about 14 different states that show up to it, all over the country. And we're selling nothing. There's nothing to buy. It's created its own community. So we'll probably have 80 people on the next event.
And they're all Zoom.
All Zoom.
Okay.
Zoom, that's it. And now what's happened is we're creating this community, but now we're leveraging that because now people see us, I think, a little differently, that we're not just the loans, we're trying to get a deal, and we're trying to help them grow their business, and we're invested in them directly and indirectly. We send stuff to them afterwards to try to educate them on what we taught. And by doing that, we're building credibility in the market. So it's interesting. Yesterday, Heath, I was asked the question, well, how much business you get from it? You can't measure all the business you're going to get from it. It could take years. Right. But we're building relationships in a different way versus hey, let me show you what a good job I could do. How about let us tell you what we can do to help you grow your business? And oh, by the way, we do mortgages. If you so choose, you want to meet with us, we would love that opportunity. So that's one thing that we're doing, right?
Yeah. So what I hear you saying is you're being of value to the entire community, whoever that community is. Doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. So I'm going to be of value. I'm going to be of service. I'm going to give you something using the principle of reciprocity. I love that. So, And the second thing you said you were doing?
The other thing we've done, which, sometimes I've been really proficient at it, sometimes not as much, but we're getting back to the basics. I'm a big believer that the old way is the new way, right? Yeah. So, and be brilliant at the basics, because basics are fundamental, right? Is that we are literally trying to give out from every client 5 names to them of services that they can use. It's very tactical. It's very purposeful. So I could speak to a client, they might need a plumber, or they may need an electrician, they need a financial planner, they could use a mover. The list is endless. They may need a restaurant to go to, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? So I figure if I can give out, let's say the audience, someone in the audience listening today does, I don't know, 10 deals a month closings, right?
Right.
And they can give out 5 referrals for each closing to referral partners. And my definition of referral partner is everybody. Like, it doesn't have to be fragmented to just real estate oriented services. So if we give out 50 names a month in that model, 10 times 5, now my partners are receiving opportunity to help them grow their business. And in so doing, it's natural that they think of us because we tell them they need to.
Yes. Totally.
Right. But we don't ask for reciprocation back until we've at least given 5 names to one of our partners, because we feel, let's, put up or shut up. Let me get you leads. Let me help you convert them if you need me to follow up. Mm-hmm. And in so doing, we're creating this synergy between ourselves because we all have the same issues. You can be a well driller, or a detailed car person, or an auto dealer. We all need people to work with. So why not work with each other and be like-minded thinking in that regard?
Yeah, I like that. So for the people that are listening, what are the 5 like immediate services that you give out most often? Like you said, we have a whole list, and I'm sure you can come up with 1,000 different things, but what are the 5 that you give out the most?
So the ones we give out the most, obviously we're in the mortgage space, is home inspectors.
Okay.
In New Jersey, we use real estate attorneys to close transactions. So a real estate attorney, homeowners insurance, those are the 3 natural ones. But then the ones that we give out equally as much as that include, and not limited to, financial advisors, life insurance, and attorneys who do will and estate planning. Because all of that is synergistic to the transaction of buying a house.
Okay. And so when you're giving out those names, have you reached out to the referral partner to ask them, like, how do you want to refer me? Or do you do it by email? Do you do it by, I'm sure there's multiple different ways, but how do you like to refer them?
Well, the first thing that we do is we meet with the referral partners and have a conversation about the expectation we're going to expect once we refer them business. As long as they're wanting to be willing participants, we of course then ask the question, what is the best way for us to promote your services, right? And how would you like us to position it? So they tell us what they want, because if I'm going to try to refer them, I want to do it in the most optimal way possible so that they benefit. They meaning the consumer, and they meaning the referral partner, right? I then, at that point, say, listen, once we refer you 5, we're going to follow up. Let's meet for coffee. Let's see how those 5 are doing. And then I'm going to let you know how I want to be referred. But I'm on ask. I said, do not refer me lead 1 until we've gotten you 5, right? Now, the key thing that we do, I'm sure, Heath, this has happened to you probably, I don't know, 10 gazillion times. When let's say a realtor says, hey, Keith, I gave your name out to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and you're like, yeah? How about their number? Well, they'll call you. So I tell the clients, listen, I'm going to call on your behalf. I'm going to give you their information, but I'm going to call on your behalf these different service providers based on the conversation we had, and I'm going to ask them to call you, and they all have the same model of service platform that we have, which we feel is strong, although it could always get better. So we're all rowing in the same direction in terms of service, but I'm driving the lead directly to the referral partner. I'm recording which ones I gave to who, so that when I do follow up with them, it's quantified, so I can hopefully gauge their results for their benefit.
Yeah. So for those listening, what he's doing, if you heard him, is he's giving the referral out in the way he wants to receive the referral, right? So if you want a referral, no one wants to hear, hey, I gave the name and number. When an agent tells me that, or someone says, hey, I gave out your name and number, I'm like, oh, great. What's their name? And what's their number so I can be prepared when it comes in? And so once I have the number, I say to you, would it be okay if I don't hear from them tomorrow to go ahead and reach out and just let them know? Like, yeah, I love that. So here's another one for you. Like, do you have an email template of how you like to be referred, like an email that you send to those referral partners so that when they want to refer you, you already have what you want them to say set up?
I don't. And maybe that's not smart because you know what? I'm a big believer, Heath, I'm really good at overcomplicating things, really good at that. So I've come to learn the simpler, the better. Now, I'm sure we all hear this, but I've really said, I'm going to dumb this down so far. And I just tell people, anyone with a pulse who's thinking of buying real estate eventually and wants to know their options, we want to talk to them. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't care if they don't want to buy for 5 years, 10 years, 2 months, doesn't make a difference to me.
Right.
And I think, look, let's be honest. They know we're in the mortgage business. If they're here, it's not so much, Heath, what and how I want them to refer me. It's about what I need them to listen for. Because they could be speaking to someone and totally missing the point of what they're thinking about and how it could correlate to what we do in the mortgage space. So it's more about teaching them what to listen for in a conversation than actually, no one comes up to someone at like dinner, hey, I need a mortgage person. That doesn't happen, right? Rarely. As opposed to, hey, my wife and I are thinking of selling our house and buying something else. Hey, now listen for that.
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
Yeah. I love that. I'm listening for the opportunity.
Right.
So with these referral partners, are you meeting with them on a regular basis? Are you reviewing, what's happening on those leads? How do you follow up with them when you've given them 5 leads and they hadn't sent you anything? Or you sent them 10 and nothing's coming through the door?
Well, you know what? I learned a long time ago. I was very rigid on this methodology. And if I was getting referrals back, I was like, this doesn't work for me. But then I came to realize, if I got someone that's really good and they're going to make my clients happy, I'm going to win from that eventually because my clients will say, hey, my mortgage guy got me this, that, and the next thing. And by nature, other clients go, my mortgage person gave me nothing, right? So it doesn't have to be 1-for-1. I do meet them as often as I can because we're in a contact sport. It's interesting, meeting people is rare now. That's like unique. So you ask someone to meet with them, they're like excited. They're going to be social for a half hour in a day. So, we used, I think, a tool, Heath, that is totally underutilized in business today is the phone. And I'm calling people all the time. That's it. Man, just call them up. What's going on?
Yeah. I can't agree more, especially in this time as business starts to wane. Like if people don't want to talk to you, they won't answer. It's beautiful.
Right.
You text them, hey, do you have time to call me? Just calling, I don't know why people want to text or social media, but yeah, in this day and age, especially as business starts to wane, pick up the phone, get out and call people. So back to the list of people that the service providers that you're using to generate business. What else are you using this list for? How else are you using it to maximize business for yourself? Any tips you can give the audience?
Well, we promote it. I mean, we have it on our website, different service providers. We want to be the one-stop shop for everything they need in their life, not just before they close, but after, right? Right. And so if my partners know, we're really for example, Heath, on our lattes with Larry, we have 2 people be sponsors. So I let them promote their services. So my deal is this. I came to realize this out of the book, Mr. Schmooze, right? Great book. Okay. If you haven't read it, it's all about what can I do for you?
Yeah.
My whole deal is how can I get you business?
Yeah.
So if I'm constantly thinking of the other person, and trying to get them opportunity, which satisfies the needs of our clients, then what happens is our clients shop us less because our referral partners are reinforcing who we are directly and indirectly. So in the theme of keeping it simple, all I want to do is create relationships between clients and my partners so they grow their business, because then I'm in the middle and I was the driver to the whole thing.
Yeah, I love that. Being of service.
I'm
curious. Well, first of all, I want to, for those listening, you can go to Larry Montani. What's your website, Larry, so people can go and see what service providers you offer?
TeamMontani.com, TeamMontani.com.
Team Montani, MONTAITANI.com.
There you go.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. So do you ask all of these service providers, like, do you have them promote your event as well?
Well, we are. Yeah, look, here's the deal. That's expected. But here's what I've learned from this, right? If I go to meet you and I say, listen, I love to provide you opportunity, would you mind doing the same thing for me? No one says no.
Right.
And like, no. So what I want to do though is not just promote our events, come to the events. And what we do, Heath, is I say, listen, bring some of your clients, bring some of people that you work with, because if you can bring them to something that helps them, you're a winner.
Yeah.
Whether they ever interact with us or not, who cares? Because if you're a winner from this, then we helped you out. So what's happening is the attendance we have for these events have grown because they're speaking to each other. And it's primarily because, Keith, we're not selling anything.
Yeah.
Zero. Like we don't even mention like who we are, but that's about it. We don't talk about it.
So I'm curious, Larry, because even when we coach together, the one thing that I noticed about you with all your students, like all of your students loved you because you went over the top in making sure that their experience was phenomenal. And I know you all always had great connections with your students. Like, where did you learn that level of service? Because that didn't show up. It like you had to learn that somewhere. Where did you find that desire?
Well, the simple answer is my parents, right? I grew up in a very, very emotionally loving, touchy-feely Italian family, right? Yeah. And we were it's all about, as you get older, and when you're younger, you like to get stuff. When I got older, I love to give stuff, right?
Yeah.
But in the beginning of my career, I wasn't like that. I was all about more deals. Got to get more. What can I, and how come you didn't refer me? And I was like, all this stuff. And then a light switch went off and I was like, I just found myself loving pouring into people. Maybe that's when I had my children. I don't know when it started, but I just love gifting people. I love trying to make them feel good because that's what I would want, right?
Yeah. Totally.
I don't expect it, but I just felt like when I was coaching at a higher level, I felt a massive obligation to make sure that they had a great experience because I figured out early on, if they were tied into me emotionally and they knew that I had their back, the ability for them to have a successful experience was a layup. Layup.
Yeah.
And so I just took a vested interest because I felt that was the priority.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that sounds very Pollyanna, right? But the truth is, I love it.
Yeah, no, it's we think me like you when early in my professional career, it was like, how do I make more business? How do I get more business? How do I make more money? What we were really looking for is like, how do I feel better about myself? How do I feel better about my business? And then you realize at some point you're like, wow, to feel better about myself, the more I give, the more value I give to other people, the better I feel about myself. So I mean, at the end of the day, like for those of you who hadn't been in the business that long, if the longer you get in the business, you have these goals. And as you reach these goals, it just adds more stress because if your goal is to make 20 grand in a month, you make it. Now, anything less than that, you feel like, oh, I'm a failure.
You know, the funny thing, Keith, and this is a very simple thing to do that most people don't latch onto. You just got to really listen about them. And if you can send something to someone else that hits home, they know you paid attention. So I remember one time, see how good your memory is.
Okay.
I sent you Barry Manilow tapes because you said, I like listening to Barry Manilow. I'm like, cool. So I tell my assistant, send him Barry Manilow tapes. I remember you called me up. We're cracking up because you just liked a couple of his songs.
Yes.
And I was like, cool.
I didn't even remember that until you said something about that. Yeah. I mean, that's like, if you're listening, like if you want to provide value, listening to someone's conversation and delivering, like those little things say, man, that guy was listening. So I love that.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll tell you another thing about Larry Montani is he stands out in a time like today. You need to stand out from the competition. And I remember whenever we'd go into the chamber after the summit, we would vote for whoever's going to be the next coach. And we walk into this room, and on our chair is like this T-shirt that says "Vote for Montani" or something like that. And it all worked, man. I got to tell you, you stood out, and you still stand out by providing an enormous amount of value. So I really appreciate that. I think, especially right now, like we need new ideas in order to how to provide service to people. So I love that. So I'm curious, as we come to an end, what's it like your favorite book or quote, or what would you leave with the audience that you think would be most impactful right now?
So when my son was at a soccer tournament many, many years ago, my wife had cancer at the time, and we went to a bookstore. I never was in a bookstore really. I'm like, I remember looking at this Barnes and Noble, going, this store is huge. How many books are in this stupid thing, right? And who goes and reads these things? So I'm too busy, right, to read. So I go and I grab 5 books on the business motivational section, and then I started this journey of reading. But one of the things I came to read, one of the things I came to do as it relates to a book is writing in a gratitude journal on a daily basis. And that came out of the book, The No Complaining Rule by John Gordon, in which I learned about the process of not complaining, but doing something about it. Then the next book I read that was his, which is probably my favorite, is the book One Word, in which you come up with one word for the year that symbolizes what your goals are. And I would tell you, between the book One Word, like we do have on a Lattes with Larry, every year we do a one-word book review. Last time we had 92 people. Every single person told us their word. It was all emotional, exciting, fun.
Love it.
But I would tell you, a gratitude journal, which is a form of a book, is something I do. And you asked me my favorite quote. I have many that I write in my journal every day, but if I was to pick one today, it's this: love is not love until you give it away. Ooh. Love is not love until you give it away. So, we all have bad days. We all have really good days, right? But every day, if you do one thing for one person and make some level of impact, the rest is kind of a bonus. And that's what we try to do in the mortgage space. People are nervous, they're anxious, they don't know what they're really doing. And if you can actually grease the skids and make them feel good, at the end of the day, doing business is easy. It's actually kind of easy. Execution can be difficult, but taking care of people, I don't care what line of work you're in, should not be hard.
Well, I'm sure you are full of love today and many days moving forward, because all you do is give it away, your time. Like if people want to contact you, we gave your website earlier, but what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
They can email me. Probably the easiest way is lawrence.montani@myccmortgage.com. And email me. I'll be happy to help anyone in any way that I can.
We'll put it in the show notes, and I challenge any of the listeners to reach out to Larry, because he will make time for you. So Thank you again, Larry, for being on the show. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the times we get to spend together and have spent together. And I look forward to continuing to grow together in the mortgage business. Thank you.
Feelings mutual. Thanks, Heath.
Thank you for listening today. Hopefully this discussion inspires you by providing new tools to shape your business so you can become a more innovative and cutting-edge professional in the mortgage space. Join Heath in more conversations with the industry's top leaders by subscribing to the podcast at www.heathbarnes.com. That's www.heathbarnes.com.